Terry Bell for today's community comment.
Thank you so much, Jake, and welcome everybody to Community Comment. Our guests today are from the Beaver Dam Police Department, Lieutenant Jeremiah Johnson and Officer Joe Salazar. Gentlemen, welcome to the program.
Hey, thank you for having us.
Thank you.
If you have any questions or comments about staying safe in Beaver Dam, we have great guests here to talk with you about that. You can call us or text us at 920-887-9595, or you can call the WBEV studio line at 885-4446. Well, here we are now in early March, and that means spring is right around the corner, although it feels more like it some days than others. But St. Patrick's Day is coming up.
That's right.
And after that, things will start to warm up. People are getting outside more. And it's also a time of year to be as aware as ever about intoxicated driving.
Absolutely, absolutely. So we talk about OWI laws and enforcement and keeping the roads safe on a regular basis, but kind of want to take the opportunity because St. Patrick's Day is coming up, and people tend to go out and they have a good time, and we just want to make sure that people are being responsible with their choices and things like that. So we wanted to kind of hit on drunk driving. Throughout the entire U.S. For who knows how long, probably many, many years since, I guess, the dawn of having motor vehicles on the road, there's always been a concern with people operating under the influence. And that came along with OWI laws, enforcement, standardized field sobriety tests. And it's one of those things kind of like in our society, and unfortunately very much in Wisconsin, there is this kind of perspective that, I'll make it home. I've made it home before. I'm okay. I've only had a few drinks. And it's a slippery slope to the point where, buzz driving is drunk driving. Accidents do happen. You take a look at Dodge County alone. You can take a look at the state of Wisconsin. Major accidents with serious injuries and fatalities. Many of them are linked to alcohol. Which is a huge problem. So we want everyone to be safe on the street. We want everybody to make it home safe. Whether or not they're going out and having a good time, or if they're just coming home from work or the grocery store or whatever it might be, we want to make sure that people can, with confidence, go home, get behind the wheel of their motor vehicle, and know not only that they're being safe, but other drivers on the road are being safe too. So that's the whole purpose of the OWI laws and why we enforce them and things like that. So,
Are you still fighting the same battles as law enforcement, I imagine, was years ago? I mean, the trouble with Wisconsin culture may very well be is we wear our tendency to overindulge as kind of a badge of honor, and for better or worse. And, do people still feel that way, or are attitudes starting to get better?
I think in general that attitudes are changing. This is from my personal life experience. I've seen it, just growing up to the age where I am now, ripe old age of 45 years old here. So I don't know, Joey, I mean, have you kind of noticed that too? Like when you were younger, the people around you may have made some, bad choices, and then maybe even being in law enforcement over the last, for me, like 10, 11 years, it seems like there's a minor improvement. It's still a problem. I mean, there's certainly more work to be done on that front.
I think a big part of it now is, especially with Beaver Dam, is there's alternative transportation.
Yes.
With a lot of the pub crawls, and I know there's one coming up for St. Patrick's Day, and I think there's another in April. The city or the organizers of that event will have, whether it's the little trolleys or buses. I think more people are apt to take taxis. I've seen a couple like Ubers and Lyfts around town. So I think the availability for a lot of this various alternative transportation, especially when some of it's free, comes into play.
Absolutely.
So I imagine maybe more of the problem may be the buzz driving, the people who have had a couple but feel like they're in control and feel like they can handle a drive home, but maybe not so much.
Right. Yeah. I mean, that can be a problem, but I mean, we still come across people that know they've had way too much and should not be drinking.
And drive anyway.
Right. There's a little bit of joke on law enforcement of how many did you have to drink, and everybody says two. clearly it's not two, and we do stumble across that kind of stuff, and that is very dangerous, very dangerous. Kind of going along with what Joey was saying, shout out, to designated drivers out there, groups of people that are responsible enough to have a designated driver. That is an excellent choice. And thank you to the taverns that support those sorts of things where, you walk in and say, hey, I'm the designated driver. You get your soda, you get your other non-alcoholic beverages for free or at a discounted price. That's very much appreciated. The Safe Ride program, which I believe the Dodge County Tavern Association, or sorry, I'm having trouble thinking of the correct name. Tavern League. Tavern League. Yes,
Yeah.
they help sponsor that, and those are huge things that keep people safe. Sometimes people go out and they have a plan, and I'll have one drink, and then it turns into two, it turns into three, and all of a sudden they're stuck. They didn't have that support structure kind of set up where the designated driver. Well, now what do? Don't take your keys. Don't get behind the wheel. Call that person. Call that Safe Ride number. Go to the bartender and be like, can I please have that Safe Ride number? Can you call them for me? Call a taxi. Call an Uber. Call a sober friend. Take a walk home if you can, if you're in town. All wiser choices than getting behind the wheel of a motor vehicle. So.
Very good.
Yeah.
We're talking to the Beaver Dam Police Department today, Lieutenant Jeremiah Johnson and Officer Joe Salazar. We need to take a quick break here, but we'll be right back. You're listening to Community Comment on 95.3 WBEV, powered by Daily Dodge.
here's Terry Bell.
Thank you very much, Jake. Our guests today are from the Beaver Dam Police Department, Lieutenant Jeremiah Johnson and Officer Joe Salazar. If you have any questions or comments for our guests, you can join the conversation by calling or texting 920-887-9595, or you can call the WBEV studio line at 885-4446. Well, tax day is coming up. We're probably a month and a half away. And this is a time of year where we see a lot of scams involving people trying to file their taxes.
Absolutely, yeah. The two certain things in life, right, are death and taxes.
That's
and
right.
Taxes are coming right up. So yeah, we want to just take an opportunity to kind of talk about this because not only is there the tax scam that we see with IRS, there's all sorts of scams out there, but specifically this time of year, maybe even a little bit earlier than our radio show here, the scammers will be out. They will be calling. They will be soliciting calls, and they're attempting to either get your information, such as your social security number, or even get your hands on your tax return, or posing as the IRS, saying that you owe taxes, and then when you pay your taxes, in quotes there, they are actually, you're just paying the scammers money, and you're not actually paying any taxes. So a very, very common one that we get to hear about and try to help out as much as we can with is the call of, hey, you owe back taxes, and we need immediate payment right now, and there's no chance of an appeal, etc. So that's one of the big things that I would just want people to know, our listeners, to kind of understand is one of the huge red flags that you will get is, number one, is the IRS calling you. That's a very rare thing. If you do owe back taxes, the IRS will communicate via U.S. mail, and they will have information on there that you can verify. I highly recommend that if you were to get one of those letters, that you go and just do a little bit of research on Google or on the internet, go to the irs.gov, and then get the phone number to call them from that website, because that's irs.gov is the website you should be going to. If you look at that letter and you see a website, or if you receive an email, which the IRS rarely does, they do not usually communicate via email. Make sure you check those links and make sure they are irs.gov that you're going to, and not another website, not something else that could be a scam location.
.gov is good. .com, .net.
Would be red
anything
flags
else.
for taxes, correct.
Yeah.
Yes, 100%. So one of those red flags is that you owe money now, you have to take care of it now, and there's no chance of appeal. So that's one of the red flags that's in there. The second red flag is usually the method of payment. The IRS takes United States dollars. They usually
take Apple gift cards?
That is correct. Yes, yes. They will take a check. They will, you transfer it from your existing bank accounts, et cetera, et cetera. Be careful if they're asking for those gift cards like you talked about. Be careful if they're looking for Bitcoin. Be careful if they want you to go do something in person. It's usually done by U.S. mail or taken care of with your banking institution, et cetera, et cetera. So that's another huge red flag is the United States government takes United States dollars. It does not take Bitcoin. It does not take iTunes gift cards or anything else. So that's another red flag that you might be getting scammed.
Now, if you actually owe back taxes and you hear from a scammer who is trying to get your back taxes, but they may or may not have any actual real idea what the real story is, but that scares you enough to go into action.
Right.
There are legitimate avenues through which to resolve a back tax
If you
problem.
really do have back taxes, yes, 100%. Yes. So the IRS, as much as, it's not the best thing in the world to be dealing with the IRS when you owe money, but it is one of those things that you can appeal. You can speak with them. You can set up payment plans. They understand that there is, unless of course you have it immediately, that there, people, if they owe back taxes, may not have that money on hand. So that's the other thing too, is there's appeal to your rights. There's that immediate demand for payment that are red flags with the scams. The IRS isn't necessarily like that. They will inform you of how much money you owe. They will have the information of how much you actually filed for. You can verify that information on your past tax returns, and it should add up. You understand? If you made a mistake, they'll point out the mistake. They'll know what that mistake is, and they will give you an opportunity to pay it, whether that be a payment plan or set it up, and it'll make more sense than them calling up randomly, which, like I said, you would know because they will send letters saying, hey, your tax return, there's an error here, you need to fix this deal with this money, et cetera, et cetera. Those are what you should be on the lookout for.
Absolutely. Are there any other kinds of scams making the rounds right now?
Sure. It has been a while, knock on wood, but we actually did have someone impersonating Sergeant Ebert, stating, I think it was the bail scam. I believe there was someone who, like a relative of yours, was arrested and went to jail and they need bail money. There was someone impersonating one of our sergeants here at Beaver Dam Police Department, asking them to post that bond money. Once again, the red flags are all there, asking to post it in a certain way with, if you're going to post bond, you go to the Dodge County Jail, you pay cash face-to-face with the deputy, or you do it with our payment plan, our online, I believe it's govpay.net, I believe is the name of it. That's a legitimate place, and then you would have it linked to the Dodge County Sheriff's Office to pay that amount. So those are really the in-person and over that method as well, and it would be very rare. I don't think I've ever done it, ever called a relative up to make bail bond arrangements. It's usually the relative themselves calling the person who's actually there, is allowed a phone call, and they make their own bail arrangements. We tend not to do that. It's just that we just don't. So if you ever have a law enforcement officer calling you up, asking you to post bond, that should be just a huge red flag. It's just something we don't do, especially in this county. So that should be a huge red flag. If anything, it would be the person who actually got arrested, person who actually got in a little bit of trouble and has to post that bond. They would be calling you. You should hopefully recognize their voice and what's going on with that. So, but big red flags if you have that happen to you. So that's another scam that's floating out there.
And technology is really making the bad guys more sophisticated all the time. I'm thinking about this year being an election year, and all of the robocalls that we get from political candidates. AI has made it so, and I think it happened in the presidential election last time around, that you can disguise or recreate a well-known voice, a candidate from party X or Y, and fundraising calls that are fraudulent.
Sure, you can make that person say whatever you want them to say, good or bad. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And I guess it just goes to show, it seems like scammers have gotten very good at knowing what's on top of people's minds at any given time of year and what websites might be popular and easier to kind of quasi-replicate and snare people who maybe aren't taking that extra second to make sure they're dealing with a legitimate outlet.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, there's just if a scam works for them, they know that, and they'll go back to that, that same scam again and again until that well dries up, if you will. So they are very in tune about what's on people's minds. They do know how to kind of prey on people's confidence and their insecurities and things like that. That's, it's would you really want a relative that's sitting in jail unnecessarily? Probably not. Do you want to owe back taxes? Probably not. You want to get that taken care of right away, and I'm sure there's a threat of arrest or criminal prosecution that's in that scam too. That's scary stuff to think about, where you're living your life, you don't have a care in the world, and all of a sudden that phone call comes. You want to get that taken care of right away. And I know that's what they're preying on. They're preying on that innocence, if you will, and they're preying on that that feeling of everything was fine, now it's not, I got to take care of this right away, and that sense of urgency doesn't give you enough time to think and like, hey, wait a minute, hold on, something doesn't make sense here. And that's how they work. That's how they operate.
Yeah, and it's I find this one particularly sad. But scammers are preying on people's loneliness. They will get on dating sites. Pretend to be someone they're not, and spend months on end building up someone's trust until finally they get to the point where, oh, I'm in big trouble, I need some money.
Yes, there are some long cons out there, big time. Yeah, the ones that we were talking about are short, like little, don't give you time to think. There are other ones where people believe that they are in a long distance or online relationship with someone who they think is this person, but they're not really that person. And if they are, they certainly are being disingenuous about it. And I mean, we've had it where people have engaged with people for years in a relationship, and then the packages start showing up, and can you reship these for me? I need some money, help me out. And they start sending small amounts, and they become bigger and bigger. And I just need a little bit more money before I can make it to the States and we can get married, and those sorts of things that I don't know if it's not necessarily called catfishing per se, but there's certainly, it does a little bit where they find someone who is lonely and they prey on that, and that's another red flag that we have seen scams be run like
Always
that.
pays to be on your toes online. No matter
Yes,
what.
yes.
For sure. We need to take a quick break for the news. We're talking to Lieutenant Jeremiah Johnson and Officer Joe Salazar of the Beaver Dam Police Department. We will be right back on 95.3 WBEV, powered by Daily Dodge.
You can do it.
here for Community Comment with Terry Bell on 95.3 WBEV.
Thank you so much, Jake, and welcome back, everybody. Our guests today on Community Comment are Lieutenant Jeremiah Johnson and Officer Joe Salazar of the Beaver Dam Police Department. If you have a question or a comment for our guests, we invite you to join the conversation. You can call us or text us at 920-887-9595, or you can call the WBEV studio line at 885-4446. And Officer Salazar, it's really great to have you with us today. And you're here to talk about your particular area of work at the police department. And that's with the Emergency Response Team, ERT, not unlike what a lot of people would think of as a SWAT team.
Correct. So with the city of Beaver Dam, we're fortunate enough, we have our own emergency response team, which is our equivalent to what a special weapons and tactics team would be. You can envision ours might just be on a little smaller scale because we are completely staffed by Beaver Dam Police Department personnel, whereas a lot of SWAT teams, unless it's a very large agency, are multi-jurisdictional where they pull from county and smaller municipalities. Ours is strictly staffed by the Beaver Dam Police Department. So with our team, without getting into a ton of specifics, we have about, we'll say 8 entry operators, dedicated sniper teams. We've got our own negotiators. Our drone team gets involved quite a bit. I'm also one of the drone operators. So kind of get a multifaceted approach, but it's something that we as a department wanted to provide for the community because one of our big priorities, our biggest priority, is maintaining the safety and security of the community. So we wanted a team that was staffed by us to serve our community. Again, we're familiar with the city. We have extensive training, whether it be tactics, fitness, shooting, things like that. So we try to prepare for everything we can that we can do for the city.
What sorts of incidents have happened in Beaver Dam that warrant an ERT response?
A lot of times, everything from certain arrest warrants, search warrants, if there's a barricaded suspect, somebody who's done a horrendous act and we need them in custody because they are posing a danger to the community, will be used for that. Hostage situations. If you think anything that would be a critical incident that might just be a little too much for the patrol level just because of the equipment available to our team, we would be utilized for. It's a nice thing because our department's on the same page. So a lot of times if we're doing something, the community tends to let everybody know about it, whether it's the chatter pages. I've had a couple videos of myself approaching houses. You'll see the team, our vehicles, things stationed out in the area in which we would be doing something. A lot of times it's a warrant service of some sort. Knock on wood, we've been lucky for some of the other potential critical incidents. But also you'll see us out in the community a lot. We used to have a training facility that's no longer available to us. So now what I've been doing in my current status is getting in touch with business owners, community members that may be willing to allow us to train in their areas. One of the benefits to that is if we're training in businesses or buildings within the community, now we have a little bit of a footprint in our memory of the layout of the structure.
Not just a hypothetical, you've actually been there. Yeah,
Exactly. Right? You think of a lot of training environments, and especially for us, it's, okay, in this empty room, pretend you're in a house. Okay. That does you some good, but okay, pretend
It's better to be in an actual house.
Exactly.
Correct.
If we can put actual structure, construction structure in residential and commercial buildings, it just helps our team develop and improve, and it gives us that extra, I guess I'll call it, mental edge in the event, again, knock on wood, that something happens in a building like that. We have a little familiarity.
Is there anything about the ERT's work that maybe the public doesn't know or doesn't understand completely?
We take a lot of pride in our team. We do a lot of training. I'm not the first to say that our team functions very, very well. We focus a lot on room clearing, or as people would call it, like close quarters battle, because a lot of times if we're in a house, well, now we have a team of people with weapons inside a house. You know, there's 2 to 10 people in the house, so we have to deal with that, deal with rooms. It's a lot of decision making, a lot of processing, but we train a lot on our processing skills, decision making skills, firearms fundamentals, fitness, which is a big one for our team, and then our room clearing and room entry aspect of it. Our snipers, they train on firearms handling, and they're very good at what they do. Same with our negotiators. They train on negotiating. You know, they could, you know, talk anyone in and out of a paper bag if they wanted. So everyone has their own skills.
Yeah.
Our drone team practices a lot. We're pretty good at piecing those skills together to benefit our goal.
Yeah, it's SWAT is certainly a large component to it, but the negotiators as well. It's you know, it's not necessarily getting to the point where we need to go in. We try to take a look at the full picture, all the options, and going in and using the SWAT team. And like I said, we do on search warrants. You have to, you got to go in. But if there's times where the negotiators can negotiate a peaceful solution, that's huge. We are also adding, I believe we have the rapid response part of the ERT as well too for civil unrest. Those members are getting training in if there would happen to be some sort of civil unrest in the area, coordinating with other teams and protecting the citizens and property, you know, if there was ever civil unrest in the city too. So it's not just the SWAT component. There's the drone, there is the negotiations, there's the rapid response unit, and that's all part of what our emergency response team does. That's why we call it the emergency response team versus the SWAT team at the Beaver Dam Police Department, because it serves many purposes and is multifaceted. And you know, the ERT, you know, when we have large events too, you know, like Fall Fest, we have Overwatch that are provided by our ERT sniper members. We have ERT members that are a part of rapid response units that can respond if a incident took place. So we use them for things, not just the search warrants, not just the hostage situations, but all sorts of other things as well too, to help keep the community safe and be able to react to different types of threats as they unfortunately are coming up now in our modern society. Over the last 15 or so years, we've just noticed those things come up. So
There's probably no
we're
community
adapting.
that's immune.
Correct. And we're trying to be as prepared as possible, heaven forbid if anything ever happened, and then also working on prevention, stopping those things before they happen too.
And that's something that we've really pushed for because, I mean, everybody knows the Waukesha Christmas Parade incident, and making sure that we're out, we're available to respond. I know some people look at the police presence at these events a little differently. We're primarily there because we don't want anything like that to happen. We are there to do everything we can to prevent it, and if for some reason that's the day that was chosen and we can't prevent it, we want to do everything we can to remedy the situation as quickly as possible before anyone is unnecessarily hurt. So with some climate things going on, the presence of our team, if we're in our tactical gear, may be viewed a certain way. It's primarily just to make sure everyone's safe. So we try to be out at Fall Fest, at if Lake Days comes back, or
Beaver, there was a
Beaver, something.
Yeah, I believe
Yeah.
it's Beaver
Beaver
Fest
Fest,
this year.
you know,
Yes,
as
yep.
these big things, a Christmas parade, any large scale community gathering, we're doing everything we can, not just with us, but with DPW to shut down roads and do what we can to
Yeah. It's-
mitigate.
It's and it's part of our, you know, we still have our patrol force out there. We still like DPW during the parades, and when we're shutting down roads, we want to make sure that we have vehicular traffic handled. So the ERT is a huge component of what we do, especially for big events, and a component of how we respond to incidences within the city and outside of the city too sometimes. So,
Yep,
yeah.
absolutely. Our guests today are from the Beaver Dam Police Department, Lieutenant Jeremiah Johnson and Officer Joe Salazar. We need to take one more break, but we'll be right back. You're listening to Community Comment on 95.3 WBEV, powered by Daily Dodge.
Are you?
Here's Terry Bell.
Thank you very much, Jake, and welcome back to Community Comment, everybody. Our guests today are Lieutenant Jeremiah Johnson and Officer Joe Salazar of the Beaver Dam Police Department. Still plenty of time for you to call in or text with a question or comment. You can call or text at 920-887-9595, or you can call the WBEV studio line at 885-4446. And it's a topic that probably just always bears repeating, but drivers, please be very careful in crossings, at intersections. You just never know what might happen.
Correct, and especially around schools too. So before we get to that though, yes, please call in. If you guys are listening and you have a question, any question about anything to do
That
with
doesn't
law
have to be,
enforcement. It could be, it doesn't need to be traffic. It could be about some other criminal law. It could be a question about the ERT or a segment you just heard or whatever. Yeah, please call. We enjoy the questions and the interaction with the community. That's kind of why we do this. But Well, anyways, yeah, me and Joey, we were talking about crosswalks and intersections, and especially around school zones too. And I know we had hit this topic again. We just wanted to hit it one more time just to kind of draw up the conversation about it and kind of really nail home how important it is just to be careful around the school zones. I know I had talked about making sure when the children are present that you're driving that posted schools limit speed zone, making sure that we're paying attention to the crossing guards that are out there, and making sure that even if you're away from a school zone, if there's someone in that crosswalk, that you yield the right of way to them. So how important that is. So I guess first, I know I hit on it before, that 15 mile per hour speed limit, when children are present, you'll know because the yellow light will flash at certain times of day. That should be letting you know, hey, heads up, there might be kids coming up here in our school zone. They usually turn on that yellow light when it's drop off or it's pickup. The yellow light is not the indication that you have to slow down. It's the presence of the children. So it can happen too at lunchtime if kids are coming and going from recess, if they are going on a field trip, but mostly it's during pickup and drop off. So early morning and afternoon as well, just be on the lookout for kids. If you see them on the sidewalk, if you see kids and parents coming to pick up, they're walking to their vehicles, that's the time where that school zone is in effect. So 15 miles per hour, that reduction of 10 miles per hour allows vehicles to stop sooner with a lesser stopping distance. So if something were to happen where a kid would trip and fall or not paying attention, or for some reason someone would get in front of your car, it gives you some more time to stop and more ability to stop. So that's number one. Number two, the crossing guards. When that stop sign goes up, make sure you make a full and complete stop before you get to the lines for the crosswalk. Most crossing guards are very aware that you can't stop on a dime, so they'll wait for a break in the traffic and then put that sign up if they can, and they should be giving you enough time to stop without having to squeal the tires or anything like that. But when that stop sign is up, make sure that you understand that that is a legal stop sign, and there will be children coming through that crosswalk at any given time. So be on the alert for that.
And not just crosswalks, but I imagine, you never know near a school or anywhere for that matter when someone's just going to come darting out between cars, parked,
that can happen.
on the curb. Yeah.
Yes, and that's the whole reason for the reduction in speed too. Yeah, it does happen. Kids are kids, and we even as adults, we get distracted and we're thinking about what's on the radio or what we have to pick up at the grocery store after we pick up the kids or whatever it might be, and you get so set. And Joey, does it happen to you where you're driving down the street, and you're not working, so you're not in police mode, but you're watching the road, but you're not thinking about the road. It's just automatic. You get on automatic pilot where, you're driving down the freeway and all of a sudden something happens, whoo, you got to react to it, and it's very common for human nature to, as you're driving, to get locked in this automatic pilot, if you will, and that's kind of why we got the flashing light. That's why we got the reduced speed zone, kind of to get you back into paying attention to the road more. That's huge. That's why the crossing guards have flashing lights on their red stop signs. It actually just a little bit more to pull your attention as the driver.
For sure.
So,
and we've had some infamous close calls right here in Beaver.
We have. That's right. I want to say, was it last year? Maybe it was. That was about this time last year, just around. Yeah, we had a crossing guard near Washington Elementary. There were two kids crossing. There was a gentleman who did not stop for her stop sign, went right through the crosswalk to the point where she had reached out and grabbed the kids, pulled them back. She actually fell, sustained a minor injury. She was back up and ready to go, afterwards and everything. But that was a close call. And thank goodness she was there paying attention and doing her job as a crossing guard to stop those kids from walking into the path of the car. So, yeah, that could have been very, very bad. And I'm glad that crossing guard did what they did. They were doing their job, earned their pay that day for sure.
Yeah, absolutely. I think it might also be good to remind people of just what exactly entails coming to a full stop. You see a lot of people just slowing down a great deal, but then accelerating.
Sure.
There's a difference.
Absolutely. The full and complete stop, hopefully at a crosswalk, means a full and complete stop behind the line. So When you're approaching that stop sign, the full and complete stop, all stops should be behind the line. If there's not a line and there is a stop sign, the stop should take place behind the sign, so you don't cross the line of the sign if there's an imaginary line where the sign is. Okay, so that's huge. And a full and complete stop is the vehicle is not in motion for a period of time. It has to stop. So that's another thing to talk about too. It's a very good point.
I'm just a layperson, a civilian, but and maybe this isn't helpful advice, but I've come to the understanding that I'm not at a complete stop until the back of my head has
Oh yeah,
touched the headrest.
yeah, you get that little like
Yeah.
yes,
Yeah.
yep.
If that hasn't happened, I haven't come to a complete stop.
There we go.
yet.
Yes, absolutely. Yeah,
That's for what it's worth.
no, it's a good point, and it kind of brings, so like we've got young people going through driver's ed, it's a good thing to talk about because it's when you get into that automatic pilot thing and you've stopped at that stop sign 78 times in the last 78 days and nothing is there, nothing, you roll through it, and then that one time, boom, there's a pedestrian there, boom, there's another car coming through, or someone's not paying attention. You gotta be ready for it, and that complete stop is what allows you to take that break and make sure you can get through that intersection safely.
Absolutely.
So, yeah.
Well, Joe and Jeremiah, the hour flew right by. I'm afraid we're out of time.
As it always does, right?
For sure. Thanks for coming in today. We really appreciate it.
Absolutely. Thanks for having us.
And thank you for everybody for listening to Community Comment on 95.3 WBEV, powered by Daily Dodge.
Hey, it's Stacey